ring of pearls, each as large as her smallest fingernail, with a clasp of gold filigree.
Like it? That's Hibernian work, taken in the siege of London.
Only later does she notice that between two pearls, the knotted silk is stained with blood. She leaves the mixture under cheesecloth to dry overnight. Madeline walks into the other room, the only other room of the cottage, and sits at the table that serves as her writing desk. She picks up a tin of throat lozenges. How it rattles. She knows, without opening it, that there are 5 pearls left, and that after next month's rent, there will only be 4. Confound your enemies, she thinks, peering through the inadequate light, and the wrinkles on her forehead make her look prematurely old. As in a few years, she certainly will be. 2. The Queen. Petals fall from the roses that hang over the stream, Empress Josephine and Gloire de Dijon, which dislike growing so close to the water. This corner of the garden has been planted to resemble a country landscape in miniature. Artificial stream with ornamental fish, a pear tree that has never yet bloomed, bluebells that the gardener plants out every spring. This is the Queen's favourite part of the garden, although the roses dislike her as well, with her romantically diaphanous gowns, her lisping voice, her poetry. Here she comes, reciting Tennyson. She holds her arms out, allowing her sleeves to drift on the slight breeze, imagining she is Elaine the Lovable, floating on a river down to Camelot. Hard, being a lily maid, now her belly is swelling. She remembers her belly reluctantly, not wanting to touch it, unwilling to acknowledge that it exists. Elaine the lily maid had no belly, surely, she thinks, forgetting that Galahad must have been born somehow. Perhaps he rose out of the lake. She imagines her belly as a sort of cavern, where something is growing in the darkness, something that is not hers, alien and unwelcome. Only 12 months ago, 14 actually, but she is bad at numbers, she was Princess Elizabeth of Hibernia, dressed in pink satin, gossiping about the riding master with her friends, dancing with her brothers through the ruined arches of Westminster Cathedral, and eating too much cake at her 17th birthday party. Now, and she does not want to think about this, so it remains at the edges of her mind, where unpleasant things, frogs and slugs, reside. She is a cavern, with something growing inside her. Something repugnant. Something that is not hers. Not the lily maid of Astolat's. She reaches for a rose, an overblown Gloire de Dijon that, in a fit of temper, pierces her finger with its thorns. She cries out, sucks the blood from her finger, and flops down on the bank like a miserable child. The hem of her diaphanous dress begins to absorb the mud at the edge of the water. 3. The Magician. Wolfgang Magus places the rose he picked that morning in his buttonhole and looks at his reflection in the glass. He frowns, as his master Herr Dr. Ambrosius would have frowned, at the scarecrow in faded wool with a drooping grey moustache. A sad figure for a court magician. Gott in Himmel, he says to himself, a childhood habit he has kept from nostalgia, for Wolfgang Magus is a reluctant atheist. He knows it is not God's fault, but the king's, who pays him so little. If the king were to pay him, say, another shilling per week, but no, that too he would send to his sister, dying of consumption at a spa in Berne. His mind turns painfully from the memory of her face, white and drained, which already haunts him like a ghost. He picks up a volume of Goethe's poems that he has carefully tied with a bit of pink ribbon and sighs. What sort of present is this for the princess's christening? He enters the chapel with shy, stooping movements. It is full and noisy with court gossip. As he proceeds up the aisle, he is swept by a duchess's train of peau de soie, poked by a viscountess's aigrette. The sword of a marquis smelling of Napoleon water tangles in his legs, and he almost falls on a baroness, who stares at him through her lorgnette. He sidles through the crush until he comes to a corner of the chapel wall, where he takes refuge. The christening has begun, he supposes, for he can hear the archbishop droning in bad Latin, although he can see nothing from his corner but taxidermed birds.